Have you seen this amazing machine? A couple years ago, it went viral for being able to make a beanie super quick and easy, but it can do way more than that. When I saw it, I knew I could make a killer lampshade with it. So let me show you how you can make one too. If you're new here, hi, I'm David from Darose DIY. I've made a ton of amazing projects over the years, personally and professionally, and I wanted to start sharing all my new stuff with you. So if you like cool creative projects with a variety of materials, follow along, let's inspire each other and learn some new skills. Make sure to like this video and subscribe to see all the amazing new projects I have coming. Okay, thanks. Now let's get to the main project. Okay, so this device is called a circular knitting machine. A couple of brands make them, but this one is the Addi Express king size knitting machine. It's the larger of the two sizes they make. They also make a smaller version, but this size seemed better for my concept. It's super easy to use, and there's a ton of videos out there on how to use it in depth, so I'll just show you the basics. If you want to get one for yourself, I'll leave an Amazon link in the description so that you can check it out and grab one. And if you already know how to use the machine, there are timestamps in the description so you can skip ahead. So it basically works by inserting yarn into the machine and cranking the handle around so that it knits a tube to whatever length you need. You can also make flat panels with it, but for my design, I'm using a tube. A lot of people make beanies, headbands, bows, scarves, handbags, pillows, gloves, and more, but I wanted to do something a little bit different. The first step is called casting on, which is basically when you zigzag the initial yarn through the needles to get the pattern started. After that, you just put the yarn into the tensioner and start cranking away on the knob by turning it in circles to make the whole machine operate. This machine has a built-in counter for every time you complete a full circle, and this really helps you recreate your designs easily by stopping when you get to a certain amount of rows. For the two designs I have, I use 60 rows for the smaller designs and 120 rows for the larger one. So I usually crank it by hand until the counter says about 3 rows, and everything seems to be established, and then I switch to this drill bit connector I found that connects to the handle, and you can use a low-speed drill to power this and spin it around a lot faster, and it won't tire your arm out. It's totally not necessary, but it's a great addition, so if you want to look at it and try it out, there's a link down in the description. Once you get it to the length you want, you do the step called casting off. This is basically just using about 24 inches of extra thread to go back through all the open loops that are left over. You need to do this step so that the whole thing doesn't unravel. If you just pull it off the thing, everything will come apart. Once you do that, the knit tube will come off the machine, and then you can use it to turn it into the next step. That's the quick basics on how to use the machine. If you have any questions, put a comment below and I or someone else in the comments should be able to help you out. Now on to the design. Alright, so at this point I've got all these knitted tubes and I gotta figure out what to do with them. So you could do something really simple, just get your existing shade and just open it up, slide it over the top and glue it into place, or just tighten it down. But I wanted to do something a little more creative and make a more interesting shape. So I'm gonna put that on the side. My initial thoughts were that since the fabric stretches and kind of flexes back to where it wants to go, you can put something inside that stretches it out, and then if you put it in multiple areas, it kind of hourglasses and sucks back in. So I think it could be some interesting shapes here if I do multiple things. See what happens. Let me see what I come up with. Secondly, I want to use a regular socket set. So I want to make some kind of attachment plate for the top that has a hole that fits any standard thing. This is an IKEA set. It's only like 15 bucks. I think you can get them even cheaper on Amazon. But you basically just they all have the standard hole size. So you make a top plate that slides on, and this screws into place. Do that, it'll tighten down, and that's how it'll hang. So when I'm designing something, I always try to look at the material, what its limitations are, and like the manufacturing process. So if you look at this, it's kind of curling at the top, and I don't know if I really like that, so I can like maybe wrap it around something and glue it so it's a nice clean edge. But then at the same time, it's kind of a softer, kind of fun look too. So I don't know, maybe we'll use that and incorporate it somehow. So let's see how I can work with this material and make it the best product I can. Okay, so I fiddled around with it for a bit, came up with this. Kind of a cool shape. It's kind of lopsided right now, I gotta figure that out. But basically I ended up getting some macrame rings on Amazon. This is a 6, 8, and 10-inch size. the 10-inch sides actually fit in the middle and the 8-inch on the bottom, and I was gonna do a 6-inch on top, but I decided to make the mounting plate instead and just kind of stitch it in. So the weight actually pulls it down and stretches it out, so that's nice. And for the top plate, I used a piece of clear acrylic. So if you can see that, basically makes it look like it's floating in there once it's hanging. Hangs up nice. And I put a whole bunch of holes on the side and just kind of knitted everything into the holes. Or stitched it in, not quite knitting. But it's not the cleanest look and it doesn't want to hold in place. So I'm gonna have to try to figure out a better attachment for this. Another issue with it is the acrylic. I don't have a laser cutter. So when I was cutting everything, I got a little janky, and some of the holes, if you can see it on here, they cracked when I was drilling through. I don't know if the drill bit was too hot or something, or it just was creating too much heat. But this one blew out, there's cracks in all the little holes, and it's just not really a perfectly round shape that I'd want. So I'm gonna figure out something else for the top plate. It's easier to produce and attach, and looks a lot nicer. One last thing to notice is that, I don't know if you can see on the camera, but on these rings, you can see the silver kind of popping through. And when you have that nice shiny look and everything else is kind of matte and soft, it really contrasts and takes away from the whole thing. So I think the solution to that is to just paint these white. It's super easy and quick. So let me go do all those changes and we'll come back and see what I can come up with. Alright, so after a few changes, like I talked about, here's that original one. Looks okay. This clear top, I went through a whole bunch of different iterations of how to change it up. Figured the easiest way was actually just to 3D print something to sit in here. And I thought I could put a metal ring in here so it's a little stiffer, and then I could have the ring just kind of get sewed on. So I was going to put this here and then stitch it in so it all held in place. And that worked out okay. And then I was like, well, if I could eliminate the stitching, I could save time. So I thought maybe I can get a piece that would actually just sit in here and just hold it by tension. So just sit inside the ring and hold it from the inside, and it would just, everything would sit on here. But that was kind of uneven, and you could see the ring kind of popping out in the bottom. I went through a whole bunch of different sizes on these. And I came up with this, so maybe it could clip on. And I have these little notches. We can see maybe the little circle here. It clips on to one of these rings. This. So then it just fits inside the ring. And it can hold it up like that. Problem is the fabric is going to be on there, so I'd have to have something a little bit further spacing. So I had to space it out like a 64th of an inch, no, a 32nd of an inch, and make it fit. So I made this even thinner because the sides are poking out. But on this, I don't know if you can see it, there's not much support right here. This part snapped off in a couple rings. Then I finally refined it to do this. So you got a bigger support right here. It makes the print stronger. I mean, I guess you could just do something simple. If you don't have a 3D printer, you could just put two strips or two like skewers or pieces of rod or something across and have this thing sandwiched in. But I wanted it to make it easily attachable that I could repeat. So I created this thing. And when you get your lamp, you can kind of see this is one of the ones I have left. I hot glued all these in. It's a nice easy connection. I don't have to do any stitching, which takes forever. This one's actually held in place by tension, so I just slide it up in the middle before I glue the bottom on, and then I can rotate it into place and kind of align it. I was using the colors here on the striped one to try to make it even all the way around. And on the ones that don't have stripes, just trying to eyeball it and put it in the center. But for the top, I glued in a metal ring here. You just rolled it over and glued it in place. You can see there's a ring inside. This part just kind of fits on there, where there's the ring, fits on here. And then this last one, you just have to flex it a little bit. Snaps into place. And that solid connection fits on here, can withstand a lot of force, doesn't fall out. But overall, this is a super simple, easy way to do it. The whole thing collapses. So if I sell these, I can ship them out. Since I made so many of them, I'm gonna ship a couple out because hopefully you guys will want to buy them because these are actually really cool. So I'll have some of them available in my Etsy shop or my website if you want to check them out. If they sell well, I'll make some more, but as of right now, I have what I have on hand and we'll go from there. So I'll show you the final lit up idea in just a second. Oh, I did make this style. You stretch it out. Did make this style, and then I made a smaller size too. So this is a more simple version, it's basically half. But it creates a lot more light, there's more light that flies out the bottom. This one has smaller opening, but the inside glows, especially for the lighter ones. Some of the darker colors, they have like a dark blue here. This one doesn't really light up a ton, but it has a nice glow, and then provides light directly below and a little bit of light shining out the top. Okay, without further ado, I'll show you the final product.